Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, today I literally jumped on this microphone. I didn't intend on recording a podcast in this moment. However, my girl Taylor has been DMing me and she's having these revelations. And I just wanted to share this with you because I just think a lot of people can relate to this because we've been talking about raising the standard and leveling up. And as you're talking to these guys, when do you decide, okay, I'm going to cut this guy loose, even though he might be sort of fun and, we have great conversation, but it doesn't go anywhere. And can I just inspire you to cut these guys loose? Do not reward the behavior of allowing them to be lukewarm, allowing them to be indecisive. Can we make this unattractive? Can we think, oh, this guy can't make up his mind. Oh, he's the guy that doesn't ask you out. Oh, he's the guy that waits around. He's the guy that is on 500 dating websites, but is suddenly so busy he has no time to be dating. Like, what are you doing, dude? Then if you don't have time, then get off the site. You know what I mean? Like, what is actually happening? You're texting me, but then you're being evasive. You don't know what you want. You're texting too many people. And I want you to be like, okay, bye-bye. Can you imagine if every girl did that to a guy where he was like, I better get my shit together before I get on a dating website, or these girls don't wait around. But the problem is we're freaking waiting around and we're wasting our time. So here's what Taylor texts me. She goes, getting to actually know somebody and seeing, hey, maybe a text isn't the way to get to know you or at a bar has been extremely helpful. It's fun to get drinks and there's nothing wrong with that. But I notice a difference in the way men treat me in the past when we meet at a bar for a drink versus a guy. She said, like a guy I actually met at a bar a few weeks back. He said, come hang out. And I said, you can ask me on a date. Now, I would, she was just texting and I haven't even responded to her yet, but, I would caution you when a guy's like, hey, we should hang out. We should meet for a drink. Like, okay, but he's not really saying, would you like to meet for a drink sometime? Or, hey, let's be a little bit more proactive and make a plan. So here's the way I look at this. I remember maybe 3 years ago, I really started to ask myself, when I want a guy to ask me out, what is it that I really want him to do? What is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for a guy who can take initiative. So this is what I'm looking for. So you can fill this in with whatever you're looking for and what I eventually found. But I want you to remember, I did this before Ian ever came back into my life. Like, I didn't know he was thinking about me. I had no idea. So I was just like, you know what? I want a guy who takes initiative. I do want the guy who opens my door, who asks me out, who courts me, who carries the heavy stuff, who will take the initiative and not make me be the one that makes all the decisions. Not that I don't want to make decisions because, we don't want to live in the 1950s. So what is that balance? And at the end of the day, I was like, I want the man to be a man. So if I wanted the man to be a man, I couldn't then allow guys to endlessly text me. I couldn't lower my standard when it came to online dating. I had to decide, okay, this is my standard and I'm living by it. So the only way I would caution Taylor in this example is you can ask me on a date. Right away, she had to coach him. No, this is what you need to do. I'm going to challenge you. Don't tell him what he needs to do. If he doesn't do it, let that be your sign. So I remember, and I feel like God just gave me this vision in my mind. I remember when I first started talking to Ian, who's my now boyfriend, almost 2 years now. But I remember when we first started talking, there was this feeling in me like I wanted to control. It was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I had all the feelings. I was smitten, and he was very exciting for me to talk to because he was 6'7". I mean, he's everything I'm looking for. So we met in 2014. It was not the right time. He was not in the right space to be dating somebody. And it was very confusing to me at the time, but I let that go. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but this is not the time for you. And I actually cut him loose. So we haven't talked about this, but I told him, look, you know what? Peace out, or peace and hair grease, as something that's been said since junior high. It's so dorky that I keep saying it, but it's like, you know what? I told him, like, you know what? I gotta go. So I can't keep talking to you, and good luck to you, but peace out. And I cut him out because he kept texting me, but he wasn't moving forward. So then I was like, bye-bye. But then 5 years later, which I know there's a whole story behind it, but 5 years later, he had a lot going on in his life and he had to fix a lot of things. And I wasn't a part of that because I don't want to be in the fix your man group. So we wouldn't have worked out had we continued to date all those years ago. And so when he came back, it was like, he was good to go. There was nothing holding him back. He was communicating and it was easy and it was flowing. And I remember I still had the anxiety because he's, all the things. I called him the unicorn. And I remember feeling God put this visual on my heart of just taking my hands off the wheel. Like, stop trying to control. Let the man be the man. You want the man, let him be the man. And allow yourself to be pursued. And when I say this, it's like, oh, do you mean playing the game? No, but I mean, don't tell him what to do. Wait to see if he does it. Does he ask you out? Does he call you? Does he text you? Does he ask you questions? Do you have to prompt him in any way? And so when I let go of that control, I finally was allowed to see what he would already do without me saying a word. And then there was this moment about 3 months into us talking. I was like, this is what I need. I had this epiphany moment of, I need this kind of guy. He takes charge. He's not afraid to disagree with me. We disagree all the time. We're constantly, I understand when they say healthy couples bicker a lot because you're still an individual. So I knew how to be an individual. When I first met him, I was like brand new in New York and I was so smitten because he was this huge executive at this huge company. And I was like, oh my God, I was like Carrie Bradshaw meeting Mr. Big in the beginning. It's just like, I felt like so starry-eyed. But then after I had grown, I didn't see him that way. I saw him as an equal and I was just so much more comfortable in my own skin. I was able to have a conversation. I felt worthy right away, but I still felt smitten. I still felt excited. It was flirty. It was fun. We had a great time. We're still having a great time. So the romance can still be there all throughout your relationship. There were a lot of things I used to think that went away. But the point is, I'm going to read the next part of Taylor's message because I want to keep going with this. She goes, I think it's really to say, to a drink that it's casual, no anxiety, but it also sets a precedent of where is the end of the night going? Where when you go to dinner, it's okay to say, thanks for dinner, and when can I see you again? Which is super rewarding and mature feeling, if that makes sense. And the dating apps are so easy for a guy to say, meet me at XYZ bar. It's a generational thing, I think. But I've noticed such a shift in respect and boundaries when the texting is minimal and you talk over the actual phone and make concrete plans. Yes. So I know people text a lot, and I know there will always be a huge group of people that casually meet. Because that huge group of people, that swath of society that doesn't go to therapy, wants it easy, they want the gumball, they want the quick fix. So meeting someone on an app and for a drink and hooking up, That's easy. I was just arguing with somebody online about the non-monogamy lifestyle. That's the easy lifestyle. It's like, oh, quit it. Non-monogamy is natural. It's like, no, it's lazy. It's like, oh, now I like that person. Oh, now I like this person. And then they've tried to make it so sophisticated. It's like you just want to be able to move from one relationship to the other because you don't respect yourself, you don't love yourself. And so you're trying to have this fluidity of, I want to go wherever the wind blows. And it's like, I'm sorry, but if you can do that without any emotion, then you're a sociopath. I mean, how do you not do that? And some people are like, oh, I've had, these relationships with multiple people where everybody was really respectful. And I'm just like, you know what? I bet if I had all those people in the room, nobody wants to say, hey, you know what? I just had sex with you, but now I don't want to have sex with you anymore. I want to have sex with this person. And then tomorrow I might feel something different. That never feels good to anybody. I just feel like deep down, everyone's feeling sad about it. And so everybody wants, there will always be these groups of people. And I'm just going to say it boldly. They're not willing to do the work. If you don't do the work on yourself, then you're going to constantly seek out these types of temporary fixes, whether that's alcohol, it's drugs, it's, we're all guilty of a vice, right? But let's not create a lifestyle around the vice and then try to justify it because we're not happy. We want love and we want the one person, we want to find that one person that loves us deeply and for who we are. And I will say, being on the other side of that and finding somebody that loves me like that, it's the most rich and wonderful and beautiful thing I've ever experienced because it's like, wow, I'm really just free. That is freedom. Some people think a relationship is the trap, but it's actually where you're free. And if you want to know the guy that built the biggest society of pickup artists, Neil Strauss, he was teaching guys how to be players. And at the end of the day, he realized that lifestyle was the trap and freedom was being with the woman he loved. And so there's so many people out there that are like, that make you feel like you have to be in this hookup mindset, that you have to just, I guess I just have to go to the bar or have to keep texting this guy or have to keep waiting. No, you don't. Because understand that yes, you will date less people because less people have a higher standard, but you will immediately level yourself up to the kinds of people that only do want to meet in person. You cannot have a deep, long-term committed relationship if you're never seeing each other, if you're never talking to each other, if you're never getting to know each other. So if you are talking to guys that are being evasive, then they're saying, I have no communication skills. I'm hiding something. I'm not ready. I like to get text messages. I like the way my phone sounds when it's dinging and people are giving me attention. Like this is a sign of immaturity because trust me, now that I've been in a serious relationship and really with somebody that I love, like I've never loved anyone before, and I see how many things have to be lined up, how many things we have to have in common, how many things have to be right in order for it to work. The idea of thinking you can just text each other is just crazy to me. There's no way that can work. And the person that wants to do it that way is not compatible with you. That's what I want you to just imagine. If this is the way this person communicates right now, this is not my type of person. So I want you to really think about what is it that I want and how does that person show up? So if the kind of person that you want shows up and says, this is how I feel. I mean, I remember when he and I were first starting to talk and I was having feelings. What did I say? I said, I'm starting to feel, it feels something about tension. I didn't even say what kind of tension. Maybe it wasn't tension, but I said it was a very generic word. And I was like, what are you feeling on your end? And I didn't have to say anything. And he stepped right up and he told me how he felt about me. And it changed our relationship. It was like, yes, I am feeling serious things about you. And it had been, I don't know, like 6 weeks or something. And remember, we were separated he was in Canada at the time, so we were separated by the border. So we did have to communicate via phone and text for months. So I have done this from a long distance perspective, but to just text, to never be connecting, to never have real conversations, like you can do this in a virtual way to a certain extent, but not without knowing, okay, yes, I'm exclusive with you. Yes, you're the only person I want to be with. Yes, this is what I want. And you're just going to know the difference. And so I've done this long distance, and then he moved to my location permanently as probably the biggest and most grand gesture any guy's ever made for me. So that is what I wanted, right? I didn't want to sit there and wonder, okay, is he really into me? What's actually going on? And sitting there waiting. I never was waiting for him to text. He was always reaching out to me right away, and not just with lame things. It was things that were meaningful. And we went through the whole Corona thing, lockdowns, and I was in New York City and he was in Canada, and he was helping me figure out what was going on. So there was this partnership feeling right away. It's just completely different. It's like, I'm there for you. I love you. I'm in this with you. I'm going to be in it with you every single day. And I really, at the time, I was still kind of like, wow, is this real? And I wish I could have just enjoyed it more and soaked it in, because I'm still trying to soak it in, because I know what this feels like to not have it for so long and wonder if any guy ever really will step up. And the mistake I made, again, like I told you in the last podcast, I just gave all this time to guys that were like, hey, meet me for a drink. And that's what Taylor is saying in her DM. She's like, you know what? I'm changing this game here, and I'm making these guys she's not making them do anything. And that's where I would coach her. Like, don't say you need to ask me on a date. Just watch what they do, and they will show you what kind of guy they are. And then it's your job to not give that guy one more text back when he shows you he's not going to step up and ask you on a date. He's not going to step up and say and call you and want to get to know you. Because those are just the signs like, hey, I'm secure in myself. I actually am curious because I like this girl. I want to get to know her. I want to spend time with her. I want to see her in person. Maybe I want to kiss her. Maybe I want to hold her hand. Maybe you want the guy that's motivated. If the guy's hesitating, it's because he's talking to somebody else or he's too insecure. And even if he's, let's say, it's like, I even argue with myself there. It's like, if he's talking to somebody else, then he's talking to you. It means like he's willing to kind of waste his time. And you don't want a guy that looks at you and he's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to her, but I'm going to talk to these people too. It's like, no, bye-bye. So I'm not going to deal with that. If there's any hesitancy, I'm not going to waste my time. And you also don't have to be bitter about it. I know I'm like angry because I just get so annoyed with the arrogance of these guys. And I picture you sitting there feeling hurt, feeling rejected, staring at your phone, wondering where the interest went. What did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? And whenever you feel like that, it's because you're staring at your phone for the wrong guy. He's not the guy. I mean, really think about that. He's not the guy. Every time I felt like this, eventually I would let him go, but it would take me so long to get there because I didn't know how to just trust myself. And I guess I didn't have the confidence that it would be like there would be a guy that would want me so much that it would never look like that when it was for me, when it was my time. So that's the part where I want to get you to, number one, where you can recognize all these behaviors. And so you can just see it instantly like, oh, okay, that's a chase me guy. And I've identified these flavors so you can look at it and go, oh, that's a chase me behavior. not a guy. I need to quit saying that because one guy is not one gumball flavor. These guys have, that's why I created this quiz, which will be available probably, I can't give you a guarantee because it's in development. So if you want to do the quiz early, you can sign up, do the coaching packages. You guys, it's amazing. Like this is the best coaching I've ever done because we can diagnose it. And I want to teach you how to diagnose it. So you're out there going, oh, that's a chase me, idolize me guy. I know exactly what's going on there. And I know that he might be cute, but the reality of dating him and trying to feed that guy the right gumballs at the right time is exhausting because we shouldn't have to give gumballs at all. I never have to give my boyfriend gumballs ever. It's not even a part of, there's no transactional part of our relationship. We're both always investing in each other because when you actually care and you feel so grateful, this is what boggles my mind. And I forgot to tell you guys, I am doing Invisalign and I feel like my speech is so thrown off, but I'm really trying to be good at wearing them. So hopefully you can't hear it. But if I sound a little different than normal, that's the reason why. But anyway, getting back to it, there will be such an appreciation. As I look at my relationship now and I look at how we interact with each other, there's such an appreciation still on a daily basis because I think there's an advantage for those of you that are in your late 30s or 40s or maybe 50s when you meet somebody later in life. And so the advantage of being a little bit older is that you really have that time to figure out what you actually need. And so when you find it, there's such a higher level of appreciation. And there's also the knowing that how hard it would be to find that person again. So it's like, and when you sync up on so many levels, it's just that's the feeling that you're going to have. So when you're sitting there and you're waiting to get a text or he's not asking you out, that's not the feeling you're going to have with the right person. The right person is going to make you feel wanted and desired and respected. You're going to know they're excited to spend time with you, to talk to you. They're going to be excited to tell you things. You're going to be the first person they want to talk to. So, and obviously all of that doesn't come up front, but when you meet the person you're really into, right away and are fairly certain. I mean, I remember feeling this way. Well, I met him years ago and I remember having those feelings, yet I could see that the timing was off. And I'm a Christian. I remember praying about it at the end. And I had this knowing, and I can't really describe this, but I don't know, for me, when I pray, God will just give me these knowings, like I just had a peace about him. And I was like, I don't know what this means, but I know that here's what I knew. Now wasn't the time, but I had a peace about it. And I felt like it was going to work out in the end. Like I felt like this was going to be who I was going to end up with. But as the years passed, I thought, well, I don't know. I don't know what that was about. But I didn't focus on him anymore. I focused on my life. And I really did my own Back to You program, which is what inspired the Academy. As I started doing my own life, I started figuring out what makes me happy. What is the lifestyle I really want? And, yes, it was about the lifestyle, but it also was about confidently making that choice. Standing in Raymore and Flanagan, choosing the glam bedroom set. And I was standing there with this guy. His name was, oh my God, it wasn't Kobe. Maybe it was Kobe. It was something like that. I'll think of it. And I was like, he and I had like become buddies because I was shopping and I was like, Kobe, what am I waiting for? And he is like, I don't know. I was like, you know what? I think I'm waiting for some guy to give me permission to buy this bedroom set. Like, I feel like it's too girly, but I don't have a guy in my life right now. So what am I waiting for? I've got the money in my account. I'm going to buy it. And he was like, yes, you need to buy it. He was so cool. And so I remember making decisions like that where I felt hesitancy, where I felt like And if those of you that go back with me far enough, when I was following Kara Alwaleba for the first time, or Kara Alwell now, that, she said, check your F's at the door, stop caring about what other people think. And so it's one thing to say it. It's a great meme. It's a great quote, Kara's best quote, but it's another thing to do it. And it was just getting on and doing live broadcasts and saying who I was and delivering my content and knowing that any guy that went on a date with me could Google me, could watch me talk about things on the broadcast. And I was like, I've got to let this go. But it wasn't just that moment letting it go. It was every single moment of letting it go. Every single time I decided to put myself out of my comfort zone, that's when I kept gaining that confidence over and over again. And by the time I had done that for a few years, it was, for me, that was the timing it took. For you, what Ian says this best, he goes, you had this long road to do this, to lay out all this content, to see all these behaviors, to go through the process. And now your mission is to time compress that for your girls so they don't have to do a 10 or 11 or 12-year journey. We can compress that maybe into 6 months or 1 year for you or whatever it takes. I don't know what God's timing is for your life, but that's my whole mission, is to time compress this. Let me teach you this as fast as possible. So that's why I designed this 3-part coaching session. So I can teach you how to recognize gumball guys. I can teach you why you're attracted to them so you can start to understand your side, his side, recognizing the red flags, understanding how you're responding to him, and then how to create your love path moving forward. And he and I are willing to help you as a couple, or you can work with me as an individual on an individual basis. But that's what I want to do for you so you can see this quickly, so you understand the importance. It's not just like, oh, you deserve better, raise the standard. No, raise the standard so you stop dealing with that swath of society that's going to take the easy route. It's easy to say, let's meet up. It's easy to say, let's meet for drinks. Because when he says, let's meet for drinks, then you start making the plan, then you take that initiative, and then he's not putting in the effort. So whether we want to look at it as the man's job or the woman's job or whatever, really what we're looking for is reciprocal and equal effort. So if you're like me, I wanted to be pursued. I wanted the guy to step up and make the plans and do all the things. And there are guys that want to do it. And there are guys that prefer that they prefer you allow them. Like every time, I'll tell you this one quick story, not really a story, but every time we go to the gym, we go to HotWorks. So in HotWorks, I have this bag and I have this mat. It's a pretty heavy, it's like a yoga mat, but it's a heavy mat because it's built for being in a sauna at 130 degrees. So we go and work out together. There's 2 yoga mats, 2 towels, then we have extra towels, then we have these huge water bottles. And he insists on carrying everything. And he's like, all I need you to do is open the door, because we have to use our app to open the door. And every time I stand there and I think, God, he's carrying everything. And I'll even say, can I get the drinks? Nope. And I'm still offering every time because I just feel like a jerk not offering. But he wants to do those things. He wants to be the caregiver. He wants to carry the heavy load and just let me be the girl. And just be taken care of. And maybe that isn't the girl necessarily, but it's how I love to be taken care of. I feel feminine in that moment. I feel cared for. I feel protected. And I also wanted that feeling of protection and security. And so people would say to me, why do you want a guy that's so tall? It's because I'm almost 5'10". It's like, I wanted someone that was tall, and I actually wanted 6'6" and above. And I got 6'6.5", almost 6'7". So that's what I wanted. And it's not too tall for me. It's perfect for me. That's what I wanted. Now I feel like that is an added bonus, because if he had everything and he wasn't tall, it would still be the most amazing relationship. But I'm just saying, ask for what you want, and don't feel bad when when you get in your mind, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And I want you to think beyond honest and loyal and family oriented and those things, I want you to think about really specific things you need. Like, do you need him to be a dog person? Do you want to be courted? Do you want to be the one that is asked out? Do you want to be, do you want him to get the door for you? Like, I always wanted a guy that would drop me off at the door and then pick me up so I didn't have to walk. And we just went to a football game and he's like, hey, stand here in the shade and I'll come back and get you. And I'm like, okay. There's the part of me that's like, no, I can just walk. But why? I don't really want to. What am I trying to prove? I'm letting him do what he offered to do. I'm accepting the gift. And so if you want the guy that does those things, then you have to be the girl that accepts those things, and you've got to make that shift in your mind. And that was a process for me because I was so used to doing everything by myself and on my own. I carried my Christmas tree on my shoulder in New York City up to my apartment to the 8th floor. I mean, I can do it. You can do it too. But do you want to? And if you don't, then it's important, I think, to share with a guy who you think is hugely potential for you. Like, you have the things that I need. Don't you want to know if you have the things he needs? Don't you want to give him things that, yes, he could give himself, but he would love for a woman to give him, the things that only women can do? Think about it from that perspective, because that's what makes us feel so appreciated, wanted, loved, and adored in a relationship. So this is very impromptu, but I just wanted to share that with you, is that I'm just so excited for Taylor. She's raising her expectation. She is raising her standard, and the respect she feels from guys, the respect she feels for herself by demanding, and not even demanding, but by only allowing conversation or guys that offer her at her standard. So yes, you will have to ignore text messages from guys that don't meet the standard. You'll have to sit there and be like, okay, this is where I filter like a freak. This is where I make the shift in my mind. And oh my God, I have to ignore this guy. And he's gonna keep texting. And what's funny is, I remember when I would make this shift, and look, I wasn't perfect every time, but I remember different points being like, you know what, screw that, I'm not going to answer this guy. I would feel very bold in the moment. And then I would see him get kind of shitty in his text, and he'd be like, oh, so I'm not good enough for you? Oh, you're not going to respond? Oh, you're too busy for me? Are you too cool? Then I would start to see what I now know as fight me behavior. Oh, you want the fight. And I can remember noting to myself, oh, so I ignored you because I trusted my gut instinct. And then when I ignored you, it proved who you really were going to turn into anyway. The guy that is going to he becomes immature, right? Because he's not getting the response he's looking for. And so I'm sharing that with you because I want you to hear the transition from, it was so hard for me to just draw these lines. And by the way, this is where the boundary comes from. This is where the self-love kicks in. And it's like, okay, this is where I would typically give this guy more time, and I'm not going to. And there were days where I would stop talking to him, but then I wouldn't block him right away. And so, look, we all have our process, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it. And I never want when I'm coaching you or when you are listening to this content that you feel like you have to do it in a certain way, because we're all evolving through this process, and we all have the strength to do different things at different times. So that's why when you coach for me, I'm never going to say, okay, unfollow him on social media. We'll talk about it, but I want you to work yourself up to where you're at that point on your own, where it comes from your own strength. And I don't want you to feel like you're judged. I want you to feel like you can do it when you're ready. And if you were coaching or working together and you come back and you're like, I still haven't done it, it's like, it's okay. It's a process. If I just would have known this was such a process and that I could be patient and love myself through it. So also when we're, hashtag self-love, and we're taking our bubble baths, but then we're beating ourselves up for the bad mistakes we think we made, or we're judging ourselves with our hindsight 2020 vision. All of those things are a part of healing and growth. And so we have to be patient with ourselves in that process. So I hope this inspired you to raise the bar, to have confidence, a little bit more confidence, that when you're sitting there in that moment and you're like, okay, Melissa's in my head. This is when I feel like I'm not being respected. This is when I feel like this is not the right guy for me. This is not how I want to. Does this sound like a love story? You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'd be like, is this a story I'd want to repeat to my kids or to my little cousins? Like, is this the kind of interaction I want to reflect upon? Is this the ideal way that I would be treated? Am I being edified? Am I being appreciated? Am I being seen, heard, valued? If none of those things are a yes, then we have to say goodbye to the guy that's texting and maybe promising a little attention or romance. Sometimes we're letting go of the gumball he might be able to provide. Because if we enter into the transactional relationship, sometimes we benefit from that. But we have to say no to the short-term fix and say yes to the long-term goal. And sometimes that's, not going out for a night, or just, sometimes it's like, yes, we have to go through a period of time where we might be single for a while. And trust me, that is the most valuable time I spent in my life, where not just taking a break from dating, but really focusing on building a single life that I loved and figuring out what had to be in it for me to love that life. And that's another podcast, but I've talked about that many times in the past. So this is about leveling up and raising the bar. So if you are in this vein and you need help, I am offering early access to the Gumball Love quiz that will diagnose what kind of guy you're dealing with, what kind of attention. There's 8 behaviors in the Gumball Love, in Gumball Love. And so which behaviors is the guy you're with showing? So if you're obsessing, you can't break you broke up, but you can't stop thinking about him, or you keep stalking his social media. It's like, why can't I get over this guy? Or I'm seeing him, but he's the chase me guy, or I'm seeing him, but we're not seeing each other consistently. What's actually going on? What are the behavior patterns? Because once I can show you that, it will turn the light on. You'll be like, oh my gosh, it no longer becomes the guy, it becomes the behavior patterns. And then you'll see the patterns repeat. And that is where you gain power. I can give you power with the lowest self-esteem with that information, because I did it for myself. And that was the biggest aha moment for me, because I thought I had to build all this confidence to then have I felt like I had to become somebody different to then become worthy for some guy. And then finally I started asking myself, like, who the heck is this guy that I'm trying to be so perfect for? Like, what makes that guy so great? I didn't know who my guy was, but then now that I know him, it's like, I don't have to be that perfect. I am still flawed. We've still had many arguments, and we've fought, and we've had, we have our issues too. Every couple does, but it's so much different when you're working with someone that is, where I'm creating a new phrase, transformational relationships versus transactional. So I've noticed that even if I reach a challenge, Vian and I are working through something, we're able to work through it, and we're not putting each other down. There's always a positive outcome at the end of the discussion. There's always support and love and a caring. There's never a, sometimes we get into it. It's usually more me being spicy. In fact, it's always more me being spicy than him. But anyway, it's like there's always in the end, it's transformational, because even though I might be upset with him or he might be upset with me, we both come at it with the end outcome of us being better as a couple and getting through to the other side. And so that becomes transformational. There is no transaction. There's nobody getting a gumball in any aspect. So that's the difference. He's not putting in a quarter to get a gumball. I'm not putting in a quarter to get a gumball. So the conversation becomes transformational, because then we grow, we develop, we become inspired, we become, it's like the challenges or arguments or differences become part of our fabric of our whole relationship, which then strengthens us. And so that is transformational. It took me a long time to come. Can we just say thank you for the word transformational? Hello, transformational is like, what's the opposite of transactional? Transactional is like every time, every interaction with you, I got to give you something. There's got to always be a little sugar high, a little gumball for you. And that's exhausting. So my taglines are stop the cycle, right? Stop the cycle of sugar high romance. Then once you discover, it's discovering your worth. It's not becoming something different. It's such a huge differentiator. So many people are like, you need to become the blah, blah, blah. So he blah, blah, blah. Who is this guy? The guy that you're with is not going to be perfect. He's got to discover his worth too. Everybody's on the same page. This guy isn't on a pedestal. He's on your level. So just take that in for a second. The man of your dreams is right on your level. He's right there with you. He's going to be supportive and loving and understanding. He's not going to have all the answers. He's not Prince Charming, but you will be able to be transformational. You're going to be constantly growing. You're evolving together instead of it being you servicing him and his need of the moment, whatever flavor of attention he's looking for. And so if that can be the differentiator in your mind as you're raising the bar and you're looking at these text messages and you're asking yourself, okay, is this transactional or is this transformational? Do I feel like I'm moving towards something, or do I feel like I'm always having to give something? Do I feel like I have to prompt this guy to have interest? Do you feel like you're working too hard to get him to interact with you? Or when he is interacting with you, it's intense and it's exciting, but again, it's all about him. So remember, transactional, transformational. So I'm going to leave you there. I'm so thankful to Taylor for sending me DMs. I read every single DM you send me. So if you are not on social media, you can email me, melissa@gumballlove.com, or you can send me a DM in Facebook or Instagram. I'm the Melissa, MELISSALEGER on Instagram as well. Okay, I'm so glad I did this episode. So let me know what you think. And if you love this episode, can you please leave me a review? I need some new reviews. And I know so many of you are listening. I know it's kind of annoying to have to leave a review, but if you are getting something from this, in the review, just say the one thing you're getting from it. What was your takeaway? And because a lot of you have left 5 stars, and I so appreciate that. If you can just give me some little comments, that would really help, because I'm working on publishing a book. I'm writing, so I'm getting all this stuff ready to go. And, we want to present the best foot forward we can. So I want to hear from you. I want to have as much engagement around this, because so many of you are so quiet. And I hear from you years later and you're like, I've been listening to you for months or for years. So I want to know who you are. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know your feedback and share it with others, because as they're scrolling through the podcasts and they're like, why should I listen to this? Your review may just get them to listen to the episode, which could lead to them ending the toxic relationship they've been struggling with for a long time. So with that, until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.